Hello and welcome to another Blood Coast Consortium battle report. Here we've got a practice game for Blood Coast Beatdown, which is happening January 17th and 18th at Darkside Comics and Games. This is actually scenario 1. In this one we've got a princess marker in the center of the field that if you control her at the end of the game, bonus battle points. We've also got a building there in the center that's the cantina, and if you garrison that building, you get victory points, additional victory points every full turn that you garrison it there as well. I'll put a link to in the show notes there for where all the scenarios are, and if you have any other questions, anything on that, you can go over it. So here, turn 1 for the Ogres. We're moving right into the magic phase. He rolls 3 dice, casts a level 2 fireball at the spirit host and takes that guy off. It's irresistible. He gets feedback, and then both his level 4 Slaughtermaster and the level 1 Firebelly take a wound. Into the shooting phase here, he's going to take a shot at the Terrorgeist, trying to line it up, and it actually lands right behind the Cryptors, bounces right into the Terrorgeist, fails his regen save and takes 4 wounds. That's all that happens there at the beginning. We move on into the bottom of turn 1. He's going to move up his zombies. He's going to move up another unit of zombies. He's taking his dangerous terrain test here because that is a marsh that they're playing in as well. So also at the start of the turn to mention, he rolled with his Mortis engine and got a 6-inch bubble, so you'll see the little red markers on those units that have that bonus to regen. A quick thing to note as well, we are using Swedish comp here for these lists. For the Beatdown, it's not a Swedish comp tournament, but basically what we'll do is we'll take a look at the list and how it ranks on Swedish comp, and you get an army list score. You're not going to do similar to a normal Swedish comp tournament where you get bonus victory points for bringing a softer list. This is more of just a way to add another aspect and bring a little flavor to the tournament. Into the magic phase here, he's going to roll 5 and a 3, 8 dice. He's going to attempt to cast Gaze at the saber tusk behind the building. It goes off and kills the saber tusk. Next cast, he throws Raise and it's dispelled, and then the final cast, he tries to get the bubble dance off, which is a movement spell, and it's dispelled. So moving in with the dispel scroll, rather, excuse me, and moving into the top of turn 2, we've got the Stonehorn charging the dog unit. We've got the Noblar charging in the flank of the spirit host, and that ends up being all the charges. The Stonehorn will make it in, and also the Noblars will make it into the flank. No other charges in this phase, so we'll go through the movement with the Lead Belchers garrisoning the cantina, and we're going to move up the big gut star here to get ready for some big action in the next round, hopefully. So with that, doing some positioning here with the Mournfang, and you can't really see the model there, but he's within 3 inches of the princess objective marker towards the center, so he has control of her and chooses to leave her there. She is able to move 8 inches once you gain control of her. He'll move his Iron Blaster up into a good position and then move on to the magic phase, where he rolls a 5 and a 3, and there are no channels. He will try to draw some dice out from the dispel pool with a level 2 fireball, which then he will be dispelled. Use dice to dispel, and then he'll move on to throw 5 dice to do the bubble guts, and he'll allow it to go off. And with that, we'll move into the shooting phase. So the Lead Belchers are going to take some shots at the Terrorgeist, granting some cover, so it's going to be difficult, needing 6s to hit here since they are at long range and then the cover. So he will roll a couple of 6s. He will end up getting 2 wounds left on the Terrorgeist here at this point with all those shots and saves that were made. And now move to the Cannonball, which will end up popping and killing a single Black Knight. Onto the combat phase with the Stonehorn wrecking the Dogs unit and then overrunning into the skeletons that are over there. And then Gnoblars only taking 1 wound, but because of the static combat res that they've got and the Spirit Host actually uses combat, so with that the Gnoblar will reform. So at the top, or excuse me, the bottom of turn 2, we'll roll for Death Aura. He'll attempt to do some wounds to the Stonehorn, who's in range, and then also to the Gnoblar, who end up taking 3 wounds. And then he will take a look and try to see if there's any charges that he can make. But actually, if you see, the Dogs are kind of blocked. They can't get around the black obstruction there on their way towards those Gnoblar in the back. And then he'll also take a look and charge with his Cryptors, which are going to charge into the side of the Gnoblars. The zombies then charge at the building. And then you'll see here as well, the other zombie unit are going to move through the marsh a little bit as well. And to do that, he's going to roll some dangerous terrain test here. He'll lose a couple. So as we finish up the remaining move section here, he's going to move his guys to hopefully in range to set up a few good charges, hopefully with his Black Knights, able to do something against that bus, if he's able to dispatch the cat, and then also move his Terrorgeist over to where he can try to make an attempt to scream at a good unit, hopefully. So he is pretty wounded, 2 wounds left, so it'll be tough. So into the magic phase, rolls a 6 and a 5, and with that, Ogre player pops Hellheart, 30 inches. So first to roll will be the Necromancer. He's not within range of the Mortis Engine. Rolls feedback, takes that one, suffers a wound, loses some models, and then the General, however, is in range, so he has to roll twice, and he rolls Cascade. So he does his wounds here. I think he ends up taking 6 Black Knights off. Once those are removed, rolls for the General. He rolls a 2, and the General is sucked away and gone. And as he's finishing the magic phase, tries to do some stuff here before the crumble happens. Isn't really able to do it because with the Hellheart he was able to acquire 2 dice, and with the feedback he lost dice. So he was already behind the 8 ball there, having less dice. And as the crumbles start to happen here, you see this is just the beginning of the end for the Vampire Count player. Now with that, we'll move in to the combat phase here with the Leadbelchers winning combat against the zombies, who have to move back over to Stonehorn, and with the skeletons able to do enough, and the skeletons with the Thunderstomp, and with that the skeletons will crumble. Also then moving to the combat with the Gnoblars, who are eaten and gobbled up by the Cryptors here. And then they will overrun and miss being able to move into the Mournfang by ½ of an inch. So close. So with that, moving into the top of turn 3, really having the game in hand, he will make a charge with his Mournfang to the Cryptors. Also then make the charge into the flank of the zombies with the Iron Guts. And with that, we will move on to the remaining moves. He'll take a look here, move his cat kind of out of the way, doesn't want it to harm. Also move the Iron Blaster up on top of the hill to where he's got a good shot, more than likely at the Mortis Engine. Magic phase, he will get 8 dice because he channeled and rolls 6 and a 1. He'll throw Bubble Guts off, which will go off irresistibly, and will actually power drain himself down to level 1. Into the shooting phase, lining up the shot here at the Mortis Engine to pop that guy. Moving on into combat, one thing to note, the Stonehorn is actually still in combat with, I think it's 4 skeletons. You can't really see because the Mortis Engine's spirits are all in the way, and the tree as well. So here with the Gut Star, they're going to do some damage and wreak havoc on the poor zombies, which will end up crumbling from combat res. and disappear, and then he will actually reform here to face his next zombie target to get ready. I'd actually move into the combat now there with the Stonehorn and the skeletons, which will make quick work of those guys, and then reform to face at the Mortis Engine. Here in the middle of the ground, Battle Royale with the Mournfang and the Cryptors. Cryptors are able to do enough wounds to pop those guys, but because of combat res, these guys are going to stick and kind of reform into each other. And now the crumbling fun begins. The Mortis Engine will explode and start to try to dish out some wounds, and this is the last hope deflated of the vampire counts as these guys will start to crumble and fall away. And with that, there's really no charges that are going to take place. We've got no magic that's going to happen as well, so we'll move right into combat with the Cryptors and the Mournfang Cavalry. Now these guys are really wanting to just take out all their frustration from losing their general and their necromancer and all their pals, and are just not able to do it because of Bubble Guts being off. He's going to make all those saves. And as you can see, this is really the end for the vampire counts. So once again, thanks for joining us on another Blood Coast Consortium battle report. Take a look in some of the notes here, and I'll have links to information about Blood Coast Beatdown. And I would also like to take this time to thank Alex and Ryan for allowing me to do a battle report on their practice game today. Thanks again.